Sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Now, your Game Center update.
This is Nick Keyser. Nashville SC lost their second consecutive match last night 2-0 against the Philadelphia Union. Head coach Gary Smith expressed his displeasure with one area of the game after the loss.
I think it was very, very easy for everyone to see in the crowd that this inexperienced referee, which is what he is, I think we looked and saw 10 games in MLS, looked way out of his depth here tonight.
And the ESPYs were last night. LeBron James won the best record-breaking performance, while Patrick Mahomes won Best Athlete in Men's Sports, and Liam Hendricks won the Jimmy V Perseverance Award. Meanwhile, the Nashville Sounds are back in action tomorrow evening after the All-Star break. On the road in Louisville, the first pitch is set for 6:15 p.m. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt.
And I think he's going to coach him up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Nashville.
The suit is in the building.
Acknowledge me.
Are you ready? Ready? This is Chase McCabe on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And a good Thursday, everybody. Welcome in. Chase McCabe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. I am Chase McCabe, Nick Frazier on the ones and twos behind the glass. Hope you're having an awesome day so far. I'm having an eventful morning so far. One of those that you, I'll admit it, you hit snooze one too many times and it kind of catches up with you. So that's where we're at. How are you, Nick?
Doing well. Had a little quick turnaround of sleep last night from the Nashville SC game. Gary Smith talked after the game, and so did Dax McCarty, and I'm sure we'll get into that later on in the show. But, it was just a very lackluster performance for the club last night, and it was Marvel superhero night last night, and it was interesting.
Oh, cool.
It was interesting because before the game, Daniel Lovitz and Shaq Moore, who both were sent off later in the game, they gave their favorite superheroes, and one of them was the Hulk, and that was for Daniel Lovitz, and I'm just like, it's just kind of funny how that kind of played out. The Hulk angry, tossed him out of the game, and then Spider-Man was Shaq Moore. So I think whatever the opposite of Spider-Man is, like what, Venom, right?
Yeah, Spider-Man, one of them is Venom, yeah.
Yeah, so I just thought that was kind of interesting how the opposite villains were, the two red-carded players for Nashville SC.
Yeah, very, very interesting. We will get to them. In fact, Nashville SC will come up in the Pulse, which starts right now.
Nashville's most trending topic.
You can make some noise for that.
It's the Pulse.
The band.
Now with Chase McCabe.
So the ESPYs were last night. I didn't watch 1 second of them. I think the ESPYs just aren't really that exciting anymore, but, they still do them, and people check them out, all those things. But there was one thing when I was kind of looking on, ESPN and like, okay, who won this and who won that? There was one thing that caught my attention, and I knew this was going to be the case. I think you all knew this was going to be the case. But LeBron James took to the podium and had this to say.
Number one.
When the season ended, I said I wasn't sure if I was going to keep playing. And I know a lot of experts told you guys what I said, but I'm here now speaking for myself. In that moment, I'm asking myself if I can still play without cheating the game. Can I give everything to the game still? Truth is, I've been asking myself this question at the end of the season for a couple years now. I just never openly talked about it. I don't care how many more points I score or what I can or cannot do on the floor. The real question for me is, can I play without cheating this game? The day I can't give the game everything on the floor is the day I'll be done. Lucky for you guys, that day is not today.
And there it is. Ah, look. He makes us think, oh, could this actually be it? Guys, girls, no. We knew it wasn't going to be it. He wants to play with Bronny. He's not going to retire until that's done. The Lakers season ended before he wanted it to because they didn't make the finals. And I think when his book is written, this whole, even though they did win a championship in 2020, this whole Lakers thing, I think, was probably the wrong move. It just has never felt right with him. I would have, if I was him, I would have stayed in Cleveland because you could have been a god in Cleveland. But anyway, LeBron James will come back. We'll see what else the Lakers do to reload, and maybe he can win another championship. We move ahead.
Number 2.
So this one could get interesting. That's Saquon Barkley in the New York Football Giants are approaching a deadline. 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 o'clock Central Time on Monday. They have to get a deal done, a long-term deal done. Otherwise, he's not eligible to be re-signed until after the 2023 season. And so right now, things remain at a stalemate between the two sides because they can't get it done. Now, we've talked a lot on this show about the value of the running back position. Now, I look at Saquon. Saquon had a great bounce-back year, but overall in his career, he's been marred by injuries. It was great at the beginning. And so if I'm the Giants, I'm looking at it as, was last year, what he's going to continue to be, or is that just, he had a bounce-back year, but you're still not going to get that same kind of production? It's a really tough position for them to be in. Louis Riddick of ESPN, though, weighed in on the situation with Saquon.
As far as the Giants are concerned, what they're going to say is, hey, look, we're going to ride with Matt Breida, we're going to ride with Eric Gray, and if it just so happens that during OTAs, minicamp, training camp, preseason, and if we get into this first game of the season, it looks like once again we found a running back by committee and or a running back who we have significantly less invested in. We find that is something that we can still win with. It's going to be like, well, see, told you. I mean, this is just how teams think about this. And you hate it for Saquon, but we've seen this story play out like this many times before.
Yeah, I mean, it basically sounds like the Giants are kind of going like, well, we can do this without you, and that's what we're going to try and do. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. The Giants are a weird team. I mean, Daniel Jones, do we really think Daniel Jones can kind of repeat some of the things he did last year? Without Saquon, I don't know. Time will tell. But certainly a situation to watch as training camp quickly approaches coming up in the next few weeks. We move ahead.
Number 3.
Nashville SC, as Nick alluded to, back in action last night against the Philadelphia Union at Geodis Park. They fall 2-0 to Philadelphia. You were there. Before we hear from Gary Smith, just a quick 30 to 45-second synopsis of what you saw.
Honestly, terrible play, just by both sides, just professionally. It was very chippy, a lot of fouls, 8 total cards in the game. Nashville SC did have some chances on goal, but nothing that really would stand out. Hani did hit the post a few times, and yeah, just very lackluster. It just was unprofessional later into the game, so that's kind of where I stand on the game. It could have been a little better, but not too much.
Here was head coach Gary Smith after the loss.
Obviously disappointed with the way that the game was unfolded. A couple of things that were very, very influential on the game here tonight. Our lack of clinical edge in front of goal. Opportunities to get our noses in front, and in a tight game, that was always going to be important. Second period, I thought we started very well. Again, some opportunities to get back on level terms and maybe make a bit of a game of it. the other side of it, so finishing was a difficulty. The other one was obviously the officiating. I think it was very, very easy for everyone to see in the crowd that this inexperienced referee, which is what he is, I think we looked and saw 10 games in MLS, looked way out of his depth here tonight. And it wasn't just some of the decisions that were made, regarding penalties. I in fact felt as though they were both penalties against us. It certainly looked as though they were clear-cut fouls. That's not what I'm criticising here. There were so many other decisions within the run of play. In fact, leading into the second penalty, looked like a foul on Daniel, which was obviously frustrating for him, and I'm sure that was part of his reaction. But a very, very disappointing night all round, result, and of course losing 2 players.
That was Gary Smith after the 2-0 loss to Philadelphia last night. I thought it was interesting because coaches – now, this is what I love about Gary Smith. He doesn't hold back. He does not tiptoe around things, and I respect that. He was careful in how he said it. He wasn't blaming necessarily the loss on the official, but he made sure to bring it up. And I know from watching a little bit, some highlights, and then keeping up with some things on Twitter, that it was pretty bad. And you were, like I said, you were there.
Yeah, it got pretty, like I said, pretty chippy. I mean, he's right about the referee. He was very, I wouldn't say unprofessional, but was not prepared for what kind of came onto the field here due to the fact that the inexperience, it showed. It truly showed. Couldn't get control of the game. And normally in U.S. soccer, when you see a referee that can't get control of the game, it goes south quickly. I mean, that kind of goes for every soccer match and all around the world, but especially in the U.S., I've seen that from my own perspective.
Yeah. So the one thing I do know is Gary Smith is good about getting his team to rebound, and that's exactly what I think will happen after they fall 2-0 last night at Geodis Park against Philadelphia. And, of course, we must wrap the pulse up with DeAndre Watch.
Number 4.
This was interesting. I went on Stillman & Company yesterday, and I'll admit I was wrong. I felt with the way the odds moved in Vegas that it was imminent, it was going to happen, and it hasn't happened yet. But this was the deal. Yesterday afternoon, or Tuesday, the odds of him going to Tennessee were plus 500, and then it moved to minus 300 that he would go to Tennessee. When I see odds movement like that in anything, I'm like, uh-oh, what does Vegas know? Something's going on. By the end of the day, it shifted a little bit more towards the field. Titans still the favorite at minus 125, but the Pats are at plus 150. Chiefs sitting at plus 300, and then no other team has better odds than plus 1,000. So from Vegas's perspective, the Titans still the favorite to land D-Hop, but the Chiefs, kind of in there, and the Patriots still in the conversation too. So it kind of makes me wonder something that Jared brought up yesterday. Could whatever Vegas knows actually have been coming from New England to try and kind of make people think, oh, he's close to signing with Tennessee, even though that's not the case. So maybe, a little Jedi mind trick somewhere in there. I do have a theory that I'm going to throw out there coming up next when it comes to DeAndre Hopkins and maybe when things could happen and that it could mean he's signing with the Titans. We'll discuss that coming up next. Chase McCabe Show up and running on a Thursday, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Sometimes you want a sure return on your investment. That's where CDs come into play. At F&M Bank, they've been providing smart choices to customers for over a century, including CDs that are a great way to save. You make a deposit and collect the earnings on your terms. Great rates, predictable results, and backed by the Federal Deposit Insurance Company. That's smart banking. Life is complicated. Banking shouldn't be. So go see them at one of their 20 locations across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky or online at myfmbank.com. F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
Hey, it's Jared. Want to tell you about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Hiller is keeping you chillin' all summer with special deals to keep you relaxed and happy this summer. Tackle those necessary home system replacements this month to take advantage of these special deals. When you purchase a select new HVAC system, you'll get 2 Yeti Trailhead camping chairs, a Yeti Panga 28L waterproof backpack, a Yeti Tundra 75, and 2 Yeti tumblers for free. And get special freebies on Yeti products with every new whole home generator or tankless water heater purchase. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Does this sound familiar? Did your agent provide excellent entertainment with their TikTok videos and constant social media posts about themselves while completely ignoring that you hired them to sell your home? Did they tell you how wonderful they were? How many followers they had? They probably never sold your home, but hey, they did get 15 likes on their selfies. Hashtag my clients love me. Don't let that happen to you. Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why the only likes we care about are our clients loving our service. Ask us about our prepay with TJ option and how it can save you thousands. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
Men, at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, our urologists and providers have been helping guys with erectile dysfunction and other sexual health issues for years. And unlike some, at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we take a comprehensive approach to your sexual health. Our sole focus is to treat ED and related conditions. ED can be affected by a bunch of things, from hormones, prostate issues, medical conditions, and even simply aging. The fact is, most guys experience it at some point in life. If you're suffering with ED, it's extremely important to see a provider that understands how your medical conditions, hormone levels, and other factors can impact your ability to have sex. That's why you should come to the Tennessee Men's Clinic, where we have treatments that are effective in nearly 90% of cases. I can't tell you how many guys we've seen that thought their situation was hopeless, only to be wildly surprised. So give us a call today. We'll do some blood work with a T-check and a medical consult to give you the best shot at success. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices, Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
Beach Bend Park. That's where my summer happens.
It's where my family's come for generations for great times.
It's where amusement rides and water park slides are just my size.
It's where my friends and I have a blast on the big thrill rides. It's where we can do all the attractions and not spend time in long lines. Enjoy classic amusement rides for the whole family. Plus Splash Lagoon Water Park with slides from mild to wild. Right now, save $10 off general admission with Wendy's coupon or online promo code. Visit beachbend.com.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You want to know how to get better rates, better coverage, and better service on your home and auto insurance? Work with Zander Insurance. I know it's a big promise, but this team delivers. They've been around for almost 100 years and have earned the privilege of representing dozens of insurance companies so they can shop, compare, and find you the best options available. More options mean more savings, and in many cases, better coverage. But it doesn't stop there. Each year, they review your coverage to make sure your rates stay competitive. Nobody else does that. And when it comes to service, just check out their ratings. Zander is one of the top agencies in the industry, and they earned that spot with their commitment to making sure their clients are taken care of like family. That's what sets them apart. Go to Zander.com for quick online quotes or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch that you've been missing.
All the big plays.
Rebound, try out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Comparing goalies to running backs.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
Does this group of players need more?
The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Bring it on, Chop. Let's go.
You're listening to Chase McCabe on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase McCabe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Nick Frazier with you, broadcasting live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. You can weigh in on the phone line, 615-737-1025, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. D-Hop Watch continues. The odds, doing some movement, went from plus 500 on Tuesday to minus 300 as of Wednesday evening, and then a few hours later is shifted again. Titans are still the favorite, but minus 125, Patriots at plus 150, Chiefs at plus 300. In the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes. So as all this continues, people are weighing in, and I we talked to Jared. I was on with him yesterday, and he kind of gave me his perspective of talking to people on NFL radio. You know, he does some national stuff with SiriusXM, and that, you know, there's a few people that think there's no chance that D-Hop ends up in Tennessee, and then there are some that feel like it is the best fit. Michael Lombardi weighed in when it comes to money and how the Titans can factor in.
Do you think that we get this third team that gets into the fray here, or is it just going to come down to New England or Tennessee, and he's pretty much waiting until training camp to sign?
Oh, I think there's more than two teams in it. I just don't think the third team's going to pay. I mean, I could see Buffalo being in it. I could see Kansas City being in it. I could see any team that wants to get a bargain for a slot receiver in it. But I don't think they're going to get the market to drive it up. You know, and I think he's going to have to rely on a receiver getting injured or a team becoming desperate. I think the only team he'll get more money out of will be Tennessee, because Tennessee certainly could use him. They need him. They don't have enough skill, they don't have enough explosiveness offensively. They certainly could use him.
That was Michael Lombardi. So, again, I think as we go through this roller coaster ride of everything going on, you know, with D-Hop Watch, I think eventually it still gets there. Teron Davenport was here yesterday. We were talking in the hallway. We both feel like it's coming. It's going to happen. But when? And, you know, I thought maybe with the odds moving around, it could be yesterday. And then it kind of hit me. Something just clicked with me, and it's a theory, and I could be wrong, but think about it for a second. So on Tuesday, the Titans, from their official Twitter account, sent out a teaser tweet. And we've seen these, and it says, "New drip coming soon." It has what appears to be oil dripping. Drops July 23rd at 8 o'clock Central Time. The Oilers throwback jerseys. Now, I'm not saying that necessarily he's already signed and they're just keeping it hush-hush, but wouldn't it be convenient if it came out on July 23rd when they're announcing a Houston Oilers throwback jersey?
And a former Houston Texans player.
And a former Houston Texans player. And maybe, just maybe, they send out a tweet later that night that's him wearing said number 10 Oilers jersey. That could be – look, this could be a crazy conspiracy, but it just makes so much sense.
Chase McCabe, you're onto something here. I do like that, a little assessment. I do think that if you get that probably signed, you might be right. They might have already signed this behind closed doors, and
I don't think they've signed. I don't think he's already signed.
Not
but
like
I'm just saying, like, could it potentially work out that way?
Absolutely, 100%. I don't have any questions about it. I mean, the Titans PR team is already, and media team, they have already just hit a home run with the schedule drop. This would just be another 2-run shot in the bottom of the 6th inning for them. I mean, they are just home run after home run. This would be perfect.
It would. And, you know, it would just create not that you need to necessarily add to the hype when it comes to, you know, the Titans and DeAndre Hopkins. But, I mean, think about what that does. I mean, that's just – we'd have to get – if that happens, we're going to get John McClain on because I know he'll have thoughts on it. But that would just add to the whole, you know, sticking it to Houston and those things and the rivalry between the Texans and the Tennessee Titans. I mean, what's like I remember when the Texans first came in the league, Bud Adams was still alive, and it was pretty well known that we're not going to lose to the Houston Texans. Like, it was basically a mandate to Jeff Fisher and to Floyd and to everybody of you're going to beat Houston twice a year. And if they did lose, it was not good. And so that rivalry still exists. Maybe not to the extent of the vitriol, you know, that Bud Adams had, even though it was funny he still lived in Houston. But I just think that would be hilarious if that was the case. But
now my question is, before we move on, if it doesn't happen, if the jersey drop does not include DeAndre Hopkins in the promo, does that concern you at all with the Titans possibly still signing DeAndre Hopkins?
No, because you're still like I think the 25th, 26th is really the deadline. Jared and I were talking about that yesterday of because that's when training camp starts. Like, he needs to be here at the start of training camp. You would ideally like to have it done a few days before, and then it's like, okay, first day of training camp, Vrabel's addressing the media. It's like, hey, you signed D-Hop. What do you think? And he's in the building, and he's got the playbook, and he's meeting everybody and all that stuff. That would be ideal. He doesn't necessarily have to do that, though. I mean, he could hypothetically wait and end up, waiting a few days to get through camp. Because even though this is a new team to him, the concepts are the same offensively that he's run basically his whole career. It goes back to, he played for Tim Kelly in Houston. It's derivatives of the Bill O'Brien offense that he's run, and so I don't think the learning curve would be very steep for him if he were to wait a few days, because veterans are. It's like, training camp. I got to go through this, But I think Mike Vrabel would prefer him to be here and get it done. So I don't know. Again, like, it's kind of a silly theory to throw out there, but man, wouldn't that be awesome?
It'd be awesome. We already talked about how the Titans media team has already hit a home run with the schedule drop. This would just put the icing on the cake. It really would. Yeah. It would. Texter says nobody cared more about winning regular season games than Bud Adams. He sure as hell wasn't going to pay to get a Super Bowl, though. I don't know. There were times where this organization, I've questioned some of their financial decisions. That is certainly true. There's a guy that's going to be in here at 10:45 today to close things out with me that does our midday show that might agree with that. So, and D-Mace. But so nothing really new except for the Vegas odds when it comes to DeAndre Watch. And, we'll see what that means exactly moving forward. Greg Wyshynski, who usually joins us on Thursdays, is going to join us coming up in just a few minutes to kind of talk about free agency, what the Predators have done to this point. Ryan O'Reilly is going to be introduced today as they've been very busy during the offseason. So I'm curious, when we talked to him at the draft, he kind of gave his thoughts on Barry Trotz and Big Swing Barry. Now that it's been a few weeks and we've seen some moves be made, I'm curious of what Greg thinks about the Predators and where they are at this point. We will talk to Greg Wyshynski coming up next here on the Chase McCabe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
Big time performance, best part of the team.
Chase McCabe 9 to 11.
An unrestricted free agent.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace 11 to 2.
Got the big contract.
The Velvet Touch.
Talk about Hall of Famers. And Stillman and Company 2 to 6. Kept going for it. And don't forget, we're your home for all things Smashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. We have a team committed to helping you navigate the court system, whether you've been accused of a crime or you're going through a messy divorce and custody. Call our team to help you navigate this system. We are here to protect your rights, to demand your rights, to enforce your rights. 615-604-6263. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Honey, what's an 8-letter word for difficult to explain?
When we planned on retiring, we never planned on Medicare being so confusing.
What's a 6-letter word for special skills or knowledge?
Fortunately, Farm Bureau Health Plans is an expert on all things Medicare. With 75 years of helping Tennesseans, they helped us understand our Medicare options.
Why are these things so complicated?
Talk to your local representative or visit fbhp.com. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Plan on us.
Check. You might already know about the Acura MDX. V6 engine, seat 7. We have an announcement. We swapped that engine with a specially made 3-liter turbo V6, race-tuned the steering and suspension, and for the first time, added Type S performance to an SUV. So we're just gonna drop this right here. The Acura MDX and first ever MDX Type S. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Experience the thrill at Gary Force Acura, proud sponsor of the Nashville Predators. TennesseeAcura.com.
This is it. The legendary live band Fish returns to the road this fall.
Fish. Friday, October 6th, Saturday, October 7th, and Sunday, October 8th, Bridgestone Arena. On sale this Saturday, 10 a.m. at livenation.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is back in Nashville August 4th through 6th and is a must-see experience that has something for everyone to enjoy. 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan has all your coverage leading to the race, including driver interviews with Chase McCabe, ticket giveaways, and much more.
Hello, whoever it is going to be.
You want to weigh in on anything that we're talking about on today's show? Hit us up on our phone and text line at 615-737-1025, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Chase McCabe on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Chase McCabe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe. Nick Frazier along for the ride as well. Had about 13 days of NHL free agency, and the Nashville Predators have been quite busy during that time. Greg Wyshynski, we'll talk to him in just a second from ESPN, get his thoughts on all things going on around the league and things that haven't happened yet too, but also the Predators. They are set to introduce Ryan O'Reilly coming up later today, so it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say about Nashville and joining this team and what he can bring to the table. I mean, I think one thing that we've discussed is this is a culture type move when it comes to a signing. I think he's still got production left. Obviously, we've seen what he's been able to do before, but having him with this group, I think certainly is going to add to what Barry Trotz is trying to put together, what Andrew Brunette is trying to build. And so I look forward to hearing what he has to say and seeing him involved in this team and working with this team, working with the younger players. I know that a lot of prognosticators have said, he could be on the first line, and certainly I think that's probably where he slots in. Say hello now to Greg Wyshynski, ESPN senior writer for the NHL for them. What's up, Greg? How are you?
Doing good. Can't complain. It's starting to slow down. I think all the GMs are off at their cottages, wherever they cottage during the summer. But little drips and drabs of stuff, and obviously some big things yet to come, including where Mr. Erik Karlsson may end up playing. But I think for the most part, we're past the busiest time of the off season and kind of settling into let's just calm it down for a little bit and then figure out what we're doing after that.
Where do you think Erik Karlsson's going to end up?
Well, like everybody else, I've heard Carolina's still after him, and obviously Pittsburgh is very much in pursuit of Karlsson. The weird thing there's a couple of weird things about both those teams for me, insofar as their pursuit of Karlsson. In the Penguins' case, I'm trying to figure out what it is that they have that the Sharks would really want, and keep in mind, obviously, the Sharks are over a barrel. They want to do great by Karlsson. They want to move him on. They don't, necessarily need him to be there anymore. So I'm sure the price tag is going to be a moderate one. But even still, I mean, the amount of futures that the Penguins have to offer are minimal compared to what Carolina has to offer, for example. So that's the conundrum there. And the conundrum for the Hurricanes is that, we watched this movie before, man. We watched Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns try to coexist in the same locker room and try to coexist on the ice. And maybe in a different atmosphere, on a team that's clearly pointed more towards winning a cup than the Sharks were in the years that they were there. Maybe it's a different vibe, but I had people tell me that it wasn't exactly like the greatest friendship between those two. So I thought it was intriguing that the Hurricanes would try to reunite them, on the ice.
And Carolina would probably have to make a corresponding move to be able to make that work, right?
They probably would, but I mean, Brett Pesce's probably saying, not definitely, but probably played his last game as Hurricane. I think there's a gap between what they want to pay him on another contract and what he's looking for. And I feel like if they do acquire a Carlson, they're going to have to make a move off that blue line. So logic would dictate it would be Pesce, maybe even going back the other way. So yeah, they would have to do that. And obviously the really bizarre part of this whole thing for Carolina is that, before the draft, it seemed like they had a Tony DeAngelo trade ready to roll with the Philadelphia Flyers. The NHL stepped in and kiboshed the trade because it violated the CBA, where you can't it's complicated, but basically like it's to make sure you don't money launder on DeAngelo's contract, basically,
right.
Because he was with Carolina. They sent him to Philly, and now he's with Philly. So basically it's a that whole thing is, I mean, it's still on the table, but I feel like it's clearly the fallback position in case Carlson doesn't happen.
Talking to Greg Wyshynski, ESPN. So the Predators have been busy, and Barry Trotz had kind of said, he'd take big swings in the draft. He tried to move up. That didn't work. They end up, having a nice draft, like what they did there. And then when free agency opened, he was a lot more active than I think anybody thought that he might be. With the biggest signing being Ryan O'Reilly, they're planning to introduce him today. But what has kind of been your thoughts on some of the moves that Barry Trotz and the Predators have made?
The O'Reilly one was the most intriguing for me, obviously, because, first of all, it's pretty obvious that maybe he found that the pressure cooker that is the Toronto experience wasn't for him. Because, I mean, he definitely had a spot there. I mean, they certainly could have bought him back on a one-year deal, and really he played a really important role for them and finally winning a playoff round. And it seemed like a pretty good place for him to be if his designs were on winning another cup. But I think his designs are probably to be in a place where he's comfortable, where his family's comfortable, and I think his St. Louis experience kind of informed his decision to come to Nashville. And from an on-ice perspective, he's still one of the best defensive centers in the game. I am intrigued to see exactly what his usage is going to be as like a top-line center, because I think his best offensive days are behind him. But, the term gave me pause just because of his age. But for what Barry's trying to do here, which is to kind of, I think, probably build the foundation of culture most importantly, and then kind of build on top of that. I mean, O'Reilly is one of the best guys for that. He was great in the Blues locker room. He's a veteran guy, Conn Smythe winner. I mean, he's got a lot going for him if your modus operandi is trying to kind of change the tone and tenor of the franchise. And you can't help but feel bad a little bit for Ryan Johansson and Matt Duchene, where they go out the door and the first thing Barry Trotz says is like, well, we need to change the culture of this place. And I'm like, oh man, that's a tough look for you guys.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously what we've been talking about, because the guys that at least it appears that he's brought in, Gus Nyquist was impressed with him when they introduced him. You've heard good things about him, Ryan O'Reilly, Luke Schenn, and now they've also brought in Denis Gurianov. I mean, it feels like that's what he's doing, and it's almost like he's rewritten the script a little bit from what people thought this team was actually going to be. It kind of appeared it was going to be a much younger team with a lot of inexperienced players, yet he's brought in 4 veterans.
Right, but that could also be in service of younger players. I mean,
right.
Part of building the culture is knowing that you still have players on the way in the system. It's knowing you've got youth on the roster now. And it's basically kind of just probably examining of what went on last year versus what he wants to see happen under, a Trotz-Brunette regime, and felt we needed some more, for lack of a better term, adults in the room. And like you said, I mean, O'Reilly's an incredible guy for that. Schen's a guy that everybody he's played with says the same thing about him, which is that he gives, he puts the pedal down to 110 every night. I mean, he's just a competitor. So if your idea is like, let's teach these youngins how to be professionals, and also let's show them the levels that you need in order to be a playoff contender, I think he's done a really good job in trying to add a few of those guys.
What do you think is going to happen with Tarasenko as he remains out there?
That's a great question. I mean, obviously, it's been well reported that he, by myself included, that he switched agents, went from Paul Vianfanos to J.P. Barry and Pat Brisson during the offseason, which is just something you never see. You never see a major agent change like that so early in the free agent process. I got the sense in asking around about him that he might have gotten some bad advice, not necessarily even from his previous agent, but from other people with regard to what kind of contract he could get in this offseason. You got to remember, like both Tarasenko and Patrick Kane, this was their first foray into unrestricted free agency. And in Tarasenko's case, he might have had something in his mind that was either, developed by him or put there by other people as to what that contract was going to look like. It didn't manifest, obviously, under the flat cap and the kind of contracts that we've seen. And then he decides to make the change. Where he's going to end up is a great question because the process legitimately has restarted. I talked to Brisson last week about that. The teams that were in on him might still be in on him, but it's going to be a different approach, I think, for the player in free agency. And so I think he's going to have to probably take that short-term, high-yield deal that we've seen a few guys take just because a longer-term situation probably isn't going to be out there for him.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next. I mean, does this look like a one year deal kind of thing? Like I remember last year, and we've still seen it this year and I put him not necessarily in the mid tier. He's kind of that cusp between the mid tier and like a top tier. But at this point in his career, 50 points last year, does he end up having to kind of take a deal that would be less than what he wanted because of where things are financially with the league, with the salary cap not moving as much?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's an accomplished goal scorer, and anytime you get that guy on the open market, you're going to have teams that want to bring him in. Problem being is that the teams he probably wants to play for in pursuit of a cup, not having to play at Mullet Arena, for example, those teams are few and far between insofar as how much cap space they have to spend. And for, I brought up Kane before. I wrote about him today on ESPN, kind of delving into the uniqueness of his free agency. In a guy like Kane's case, like when he decides to play this season, he's going to have this pick of the litter because he's Patrick Kane, but he's also going to be able to fit in under a team's financial cap situation because he's going to be able to sign an over 35 contract starting in late November, which means that they can give him a bunch of money in performance bonuses and bring down his cap number to like really manageable levels. We just saw that happen in a couple of cases, like with Blake Wheeler, for example, with the Rangers. So Tarasenko doesn't have that luxury. If you bring him in, and it's going to have the full impact on your cap. So that's really going to limit the number of contenders they're going to be able to fit him in. So look, that's why I think the Tyler Bertuzzi signing was great for him. To go to the Leafs for a year, $5.5 million is nothing to sneeze at, and he's going to be able to juice his stats playing on the left wing of Austin Matthews for 82 games. I mean, that's a pretty good situation for a guy that didn't find the contract that he was looking for entering free agency as one of those guys like Tarasenko that was going to be the belle of the ball.
Do you think there's a scenario at all where Patrick Kane could just go back to Chicago and be a part of the rebuild?
Dude, I asked him that. I was at Rangers breakdown day, and I because they were very broken down after losing to my Devils, by the way.
Yes.
No, but I said to him, I said, look, man, like, do you see a situation where you go back to Chicago? Like, they end up with Bedard, like you go back, you kind of complete the story. And he told me that, they're in a rebuild. And so I think not only is there a sense from Patrick that he clearly wants to, like, play for a contender, play for a franchise that has the same kind of like allure that the Rangers and the Blackhawks have maybe, but also like really, really push for another cup. I also think that there's a sense, and this is sort of the subtext to everything that's happened in Chicago, that they really want to break with the past for obvious reasons, right? So I think the reunion there, while it might make sense to have Kane play with somebody like Bedard, probably isn't going to happen for those reasons. But like I wrote today, I mean, he's going to have his pick. There's teams that have tried to court him and say, sign with us now, and you can rehab with our doctors and be around the boys and be completely ready for when you come back in November or December. But I think ultimately, from what I've been able to gather from Kane's camp, like they're content to wait until November or December, sign a deal then, and hopefully end up with a team that he thinks has a chance to win the Cup and where he wants to play.
It'll be interesting to see. That is for sure. Greg Wyshynski, ESPN, joining us. Greg, appreciate it as always.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right. See you. Greg Wyshynski. And check out that article that he has on ESPN.com about Patrick Kane. It is a good one. The curious case of Patrick Kane's 2023 free agency as those things continue. Coming up next, we will dive into what we expect to hear from Ryan O'Reilly when he is introduced later today. And do the Preds have any more moves left in them in this offseason? We'll discuss that next. Chase McCabe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
D-Hop Watch continues.
Titans and Patriots have made offers. He's kind of holding out, looking around.
Could the Titans add the talented wide receiver?
They need help at the receiver position.
With speed that can catch the football. How much better can he make the two-tone blue?
Titans have a better chance of being in the postseason.
D-Hop.
D-Hop.
D-Hop. D-Hop. D-Hop. D-Hop. D-Hop. D-Hop Watch continues.
Titans on 3, 1, 2, 3. Titans.
Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We're changing the game. Help your bets stay hot this summer at Superbook Sports. They are the most trusted name in sports betting with a direct line to Las Vegas. Of course, Superbook there at the Westgate in Las Vegas. I've been there. It's awesome. And now when you use the promo code CHASE, you can score up to $250 with their first bet bonus, win or lose. Superbook will match your first bet up to $250 when you use my name in the promo code CHASE, C-H-A-S-E. It is that simple. They have everything under the sun that you would want to bet on right now, including they have a cool little feature that's Tennessee teams. So teams in our area are right there. They even got Titans Saints week 1, with the Titans being a 3.5-point road dog at the Superdome. You can bet on that right now. Just go to download the Superbook app. Use that promo code CHASE when you sign up, and you'll get that $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Hang on. It's going to be a wild ride. The PBR Team's champions, the Nashville Stampede, are coming home in a run to defend their title. Stampede Days, August 18th through 20th at Bridgestone Arena. Heart-pounding action you don't want to miss. Tickets start at $20. Get yours today at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com.
Yeah, we coming.
Join us for the ride.
Hey, what's up? It's Chase McCabe, and I've been telling you about PhD weight loss for a couple months now. I'm down 22 pounds since I have been on the program, and I love it. It's been set up by Dr. Ashley Lucas, obviously a best-selling author. She's put this whole program together, and it is showing results. The thing I like about it is it's custom-made for me. I have a coach, Rachel, that I talk to weekly, and she adjusts the plan for me as I go. 85% of the food is provided. You can use your own food as well, and your coach will help you through that entire process. And that's what I love. Like I said, it's made for me with those customized meal plans. Here's the other part that's awesome. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That is their offer guarantee. So check it out, myphdweightloss.com. That is the website. You can go and read more about it and sign up. myphdweightloss.com.
Jasper's on West End Avenue is your neighborhood bar and restaurant. They offer a fun atmosphere with a game room, TVs, a large bar, lounge area, and patio seating, plus free parking. That's right, free parking on West End. Come into Jasper's today to enjoy their elevated bar fare and well-crafted cocktails. Happy hour Monday through Friday from 4 to 6, and now game night every second and fourth Thursday. Drop in anytime where you can win gift card prizes each week. That's Jasper's on West End Avenue, Nashville's place to gather, play, eat, and drink.
We pride ourselves on being transparent, opening up the books, and sharing all the secrets of the diamond industry. We have a passion for this, and part of having a passion is sharing that passion.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper says, at Genesis, you don't just get an entry-level course in diamonds, you get a PhD.
We love educating our customers, even over-educating our customers about diamonds and gemstones, so they can truly see the difference in what we offer.
At Genesis, diamonds are not a side business. It's their only business.
We eat, breathe, and sleep diamonds.
So whether you end up buying at Genesis or not, come for the education.
The better educated we can make you at Genesis Diamonds, the better a shopper you're going to be, whether you shop with us or anyone else. You will be able to tell the difference and know what you are buying, so you make the best decision for you.
Genesis Diamonds, proud to offer one of the largest selections of GIA-certified diamonds in the nation, with no middleman markups, no retail pricing games, no commission salespeople, and no nonsense. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win.
Pregame at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
You're listening to Chase McCabe.
He did not want to rehearse, and he wanted to leave as soon as possible.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase McCabe Show, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, 615-737-1025. That is our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. D-Mace going to join at the end of the show. It's been a while since it's been a little Chase and Mace, so we want to try and do that. Bridge the gap between the two shows. Predators, do they have any more moves left in them? You know, some of the players out there, like Vladimir Tarasenko, Patrick Kane, I don't think it's likely, but, you know, if a month from now we're still sitting here and Tarasenko is available and he's willing to take a 1-year kind of prove-it deal, is that something that Barry Trotz would be interested in? I still would say probably not, because I don't know if Tarasenko would fit the mold of what he's trying to build here when it comes to culture. I mean, that just being blunt. Now, you know, he knows Ryan O'Reilly. Like maybe there's a you know, some thought process there that Ryan be like, no, he's a great guy. You know, bring him in. That'd be cool. But I feel like mostly we've seen the moves, because eventually, like, you can't bring in too many more veterans, because I do want to see these young guys play. I mean, you know, you got to have room for Evangelista and Tomasino and Parsonen. You know, you don't want to take up every spot. Right now, I think it kind of fits. There's some, you know, like Sherwood and McCarron, you know, that could be the odd man out, or could be in Milwaukee and be available to you if you need them. There's definitely going to be options. But, you know, if there's that player out there that you just feel like you couldn't pass up on, or there's a trade offer that comes your way, I think Barry Trotz has shown us he has a willingness to listen.
Yeah, and Greg made a good point in his interview with you last segment about switching over with, with Tarasenko, you know, switching over with, I'm trying to think of the word, agents, excuse me.
Yeah, the agent.
I find it interesting due to the fact that if you go and, you know, are misguided to a certain degree, that is probably a viable option for teams like the Predators that have cap room to, you know, utilize. And I just thought that was kind of an interesting little tidbit that he mentioned there, and it should be used more towards negotiations for teams in the NHL.
Yeah, I just think it's all about does he fit what Barry's trying to build? Does he fit the Predator way? And I mean that is always, you know, I think if you ask Barry Trotz, you ask Andrew Brunette, you know, with this new era that we're in, because I mean, even though there are connections to the past, obviously Barry Trotz was the head coach here for 16 years, or whatever it was. This is a new era. He is building this in his vision. It's, you know, not what David Poile would do anymore. It's what would Barry Trotz do. So he would look at it and go, you know, this has to fit. This has to be a culture fit. Change the standard, and that's exactly what they're doing. And so any corresponding move, you know, the ones that have been made so far fit that. You know, to me, like it fits. Okay, these guys, yeah, those are Barry Trotz type players. which in turn are now going to be Andrew Brunette type players. And I think those two, again, are lockstep on this of, Andrew being like, yeah, no, that's a guy that I think is going to fit my offense and fit what I want to do. It makes me that much more excited, to get to September and get to training camp to see this in action, to see them on the ice and ultimately the season when it opens in October. We've still got a long way to go for that, but I think there is a certain energy with the Predators and the excitement surrounding the Predators right now that, quite frankly, just hadn't been there in a while. And I think that's what's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Barry coming in with his new Trotzification regime.
I like that.
I know. Caroline used it the other day in the midday. I was like, Trotzification. That's a good one. I'm going to keep that one in the library. No, but his Trotzification of bringing in these veterans is just good overall. I love I mentioned this on the midday show as well with Willie and them. And, having all those extra veterans come into play, it just shows they're willing to be professional to guide the youth of the team. And that's the thing is once these, I guess, older veterans end up leaving the roster a few, seasons down the road, these youth guys like Kiefer Sherwood, Tommy Novak, well, Tommy's, a little over in age, but still, all those guys that are just now getting their big break with the Preds, they're going to be, ready for the next step with the Barry Trotz era.
Yeah, I think having the guys to lean on and learn from that, have those, I love this phrase, skins on the wall, is going to be very beneficial to Evangelista, to Parson, and to Tomasino, to even guys that, like having Luke Shin in the defensive core will be big for Fabro and Carrier, some of these younger guys, Stastny, Livingstone. So I think, and that's what he's trying to do. And that's no slight to, obviously Roman Josi and Philip Forsberg and UC Saros, the guys that are here. It's just adding to it and, trying to find that Mike Fisher type to bring in, which I think Ryan O'Reilly could fit that. Bring that Mike Fisher type in that's still going to help you offensively, but also serving a larger purpose. Which is exactly what Barry Trotz is trying to do. So, again, Ryan O'Reilly is going to be introduced today to the Nashville media. I also believe he may join Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace, too. I know they were working on that to try and to get him on. So, I'm curious. Gus Nyquist was impressive when he was introduced last week. I'm curious to hear what Ryan O'Reilly has to say and why he was so intrigued by Nashville that he'd want to come here and be a part of this because – that's the other thing is when you're looking for those veterans that are going to come in and help with and I know that they don't like to use the word rebuild, but a reset, whatever it is, they have to be willing to do that. And it obviously Gus Nyquist and Ryan O'Reilly, Luke Shin, Garyanov, they look at this and they like what they see enough that like, hey, yeah, we're going to go and be a part of this and mentor and also, try and win some games. So, again, you'll hear from him later on today. Coming up next, I have an interesting topic that I want to get into, and I want your participation. 615-737-1025. Who do you trust the most? Who do you trust the least in sports? And I will explain more coming up next here on the Chase McCabe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
All of us at 102.5 and 106.3 The Game want to recognize our active military, veterans, first responders, and educators with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming who's brought stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming.
And the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air,
Gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
This is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Now, your Game Center update.
This is Nick Keyser. Nashville SC lost their second consecutive match last night 2-0 against the Philadelphia Union. Head coach Gary Smith expressed his displeasure with one area of the game after the loss.
I think it was very, very easy for everyone to see in the crowd that this inexperienced referee, which is what he is, I think we looked and saw 10 games in MLS, looked way, way out of his depth here tonight.
And the ESPYs were last night. LeBron James won the best record-breaking performance, while Patrick Mahomes won Best Athlete in Men's Sports, and Liam Hendricks won the Jimmy V Perseverance Award. Meanwhile, the Nashville Sounds are back in action tomorrow evening after the All-Star break. On the road in Louisville, the first pitch is set for 6:15 p.m. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUZ HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3
Checkered flag is in the air. Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Nashville.
The suit is in the building.
Acknowledge me.
Are you ready? Ready? This is Chase McCabe on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hour number 2, Chase McCabe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Nick Frazier with you. 615-737-1025 is our phone line. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll have those 3-day passes to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix to give away a little bit later on. But right now, asking this question, and I have a reason that I brought this up. There's a couple of reasons that I brought this up. And that is, who do you trust the most in sports? Who do you trust the least in sports? And trust can be viewed in many different ways. You can view it as trust to win, to lead your team to victory, those things. Trust to be a leader in general. Trust in when they say something, you know they're speaking gospel, or that you don't trust a word that they say. It's kind of a, polarizing figures in sports right now. Either way, in a good way, in a bad way. And I'm curious of where people will go with this. Here's what sparked this with me. As I was, perusing the internet and looking through ESPN and what's been going on, I saw that Jordan Spieth and Xander Schauffele had spoken, and they were talking about that the players need to regain the trust of Jay Monahan, who's the PGA Tour commissioner. Obviously, he's been recovering from something, but the PGA and the LIV announcing their merger, and the players that didn't take the LIV money, that stayed true to the PGA, were shocked because they knew nothing about it. And so obviously there's a lot of mistrust when it comes to the golfers and, the administration within the PGA because of everything that has happened. Here was Jordan Spieth yesterday talking about Jay Monahan having to regain the players' trust?
You know, the guy who was supposed to be there for us wasn't. Obviously, he had some health issues. So I'm glad we got the memo. I'm glad that he said he's feeling much better. But yeah, I'd say he has a lot of tough questions to answer in his return, and I don't trust people easily. He had my trust, and he has a lot less of it now. So I don't stand alone when I say that, and yeah, he'll just have to answer a lot of really hard questions when he comes back.
And he's going to have to answer a ton of tough questions when he comes back. But I heard that, and I'm like, ooh, okay. So obviously Jay Monahan we would put on You Trust the list right now. There's another one that I'd put on that list, and bear with me on this, but this was LeBron at the ESPYs last night.
When the season ended, I said I wasn't sure if I was going to keep playing. And I know a lot of experts told you guys what I said, but I'm here now speaking for myself. In that moment, I'm asking myself if I can still play without cheating the game. Can I give everything to the game still? Truth is, I've been asking myself this question at the end of the season for a couple years now. I just never openly talked about it. I don't care how many more points I score or what I can or cannot do on the floor. The real question for me is, can I play without cheating this game? The day I can't give the game everything on the floor is the day I'll be done. Lucky for you guys, that day is not today.
I mean, that was classic LeBron. I mean, that honestly felt like I'm taking my talents to South Beach. Like, that reminded me of that. I don't trust LeBron James. I don't trust him at all. Now, maybe for different reasons than Jay Monahan, but, you know, Bron's out for LeBron. And fine. That's whatever. I mean, he's a great player, you know, one of the greatest of all time. I'm not getting into the lazy radio topic of who's better, MJ or LeBron. I mean, they both were GOATs in their era. I contend that, you know, MJ is still the greatest of all time. But I didn't trust him either. I still don't. I mean, you know, Tom Brady, where do you trust? Where is Tom Brady on the trust tree?
Don't trust me.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because, I mean, I trust him to win. Yeah, I trust LeBron to win.
I trust him to win, but for loyalty,
oh yeah,
that's where the gray area starts to come into play, because, you know, you spend so long with New England, and then I'm gonna go to Tampa Bay, and then this whole different Tom Brady comes into the scene. I'm like, holy cow, who is this guy? And so that's kind of where the trust kind of falls for me.
Does that matter to us though? Like, of, you know, loyalty to me, that's another way in laying this. Who you trust the most, who you trust the least. In sports, 615-737-1025 if you want to weigh in. Like Brady, when he left, like, I knew why he left. I mean, I think, you know, if you've watched the Man in the Arena documentary, you know, he kind of lays it out that, you know, it was at the end. You know, it just, the relationship had deteriorated between him and Belichick, even though they had a lot of respect for each other. I think they're cool now, but, you know, it was a tough relationship because Belichick's a tough coach. Brady's a tough competitor as a player, and so it was time to end. So, you know, I kind of look at that a little bit differently, as not of him being disloyal to the Patriots. It was just the writing was on the wall that it was time to do something different, and it ultimately worked out for him. But it's kind of open to interpretation, you know, because I look at, for instance, this was also at the ESPYs last night, Patrick Mahomes winning his award, and this was some of his speech.
Man, this is crazy. I remember growing up watching the ESPYs and seeing a lot of great athletes win awards, and to be on this stage winning this award is a tremendous honor, but it all wouldn't be possible without God, so I want to thank him first. I truly believe that. It was an incredible season. There's many ups, many downs. I just want to thank my teammates and coaches for basically just making me look good, honestly. Because I'm a quarterback. I just got to throw the ball and let guys like Trav work. So I appreciate my teammates, my coaches, the guys that are here. I want to thank my family, Brittany, Braun, Sterling. I'm glad that all that hard work's paying off. And when I'm not in the building, y'all are supporting me and making me the guy that I am, the man that I am. So I want to thank them. And finally, Chiefs Kingdom. Chiefs Kingdom, I truly believe is the best fan base in the world. Sorry to all the athletes out here. I start back next week. I go back to camp next Tuesday. So this is a great award, but we're going to do this thing again. We're going to keep this thing rolling. Appreciate all y'all.
That was Patrick Mahomes, his acceptance speech last night. I trust Patrick Mahomes. I trust him to win. I trust him to lead. When he says something, I mean, you know, he giving glory to God. I totally believe him when he says that and respect it a lot. Like, he's a good dude. And so, you know, when he speaks, I listen and I know he's telling the truth. And so it's kind of like the, you know, LeBron, I look at it like wrestling. Like, Patrick's the baby face, LeBron's the heel. And you need that. That's what it is. But, like, he comes across that way. He's just a trustworthy individual. So, like I said, it's open to how you look at it. Like, what is trust? Is trust just simply winning games? Is trust being a good person? You know, whatever. But Patrick Mahomes would certainly be in the good category.
Yeah, and I think for LeBron, it's the point where – I'm not saying he's, you know – I mean, he is on the backside of his career, but he's still – I mean, putting up ridiculous numbers. Every time he goes into the media, it's almost like you're kind of just waiting for what's the next clickbait from LeBron. Because that's kind of what it came from last night. Well, I mean, I didn't watch the ESPYs, but I saw the clip and heard the clip here. It's just like you just going for the clip.
I mean, but you knew he was doing that.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, that's typical of LeBron. Greg on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, says, I trust Gary Bettman over Roger Goodell. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Gary Bettman, and he laughs it off and kind of embraces it. Now I kind of think the boos are it's just for show. But Gary Bettman's one of the best commissioners in sports. I mean, he kept this team here. He has done everything he could to keep the Coyotes in Arizona. You know, is he perfect? No, nobody is. But I think overall, I mean, there's a reason he's been at that post for as long as he has. The league, even though they had to go through some hard times and go through some lockouts, the league is, you know, once they get, you know, through the COVID stuff and, you know, we see the cap go up, I would say the league is the healthiest that it's ever been. The TV deals that they have right now with ESPN and Turner Sports have certainly helped that. So I agree with that. And Roger Goodell, I mean, you know, all this stuff that's coming out about Dan Snyder and John Gruden and how does Goodell fit into it? You know, I know Goodell is trusted by the owners, and he's in that position because he works for the owners. But, yeah, I don't trust Roger Goodell as far as I could throw him.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Can't do it, and I won't do it. I mean, I wouldn't even touch him with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, no, I know. It's kind of the same way. But, you know, like Commissioner Greg Sankey with the SEC, he just got a contract extension through at least 2028. That's coming out. SEC Media Day is going to be here next week. But he's somebody that I trust. You know, I think he's one of those that he kept it going through COVID and all those things, and the where the SEC is now. There's, you know, maybe if you're at another conference, you don't trust him because he's drastically helped change college football. But, you know, if they ever named a commissioner of college football, Greg Sankey would get my vote.
100%. If you look at the success he's had in the SEC, being the commissioner, I mean, the resume speaks for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. That just a little thought on that, and we'll see what happens, obviously, with the PGA Tour and getting that trust back from the players, because I think that's going to be a lot harder than they think it is going to be. Coming up next, I have a thought on Hard Knocks, because the Jets are going to be on Hard Knocks next year, or coming up in a few weeks in training camp, which I think is intriguing. But I have an idea that maybe the NFL and the players should listen to. We'll discuss that coming up next. Chase McCabe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
It's going down. It's going down. It's going down.
They fight.
Jared, you're
How do you know, Joe? How do you know?
And fight.
And because of that,
But how do you know that, though? But how do you know that?
But that's okay. It's Jared and Joe. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m., Jared Stillman and Joe Rexroad debate the big topics in sports. Jared versus Joe. Presented by Pella Windows and Doors and Parman Tractor and Equipment on Stillman and Company. Wednesdays at 5 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more than a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. In their car, at home, or on the job, more than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. AM radio is also the backbone of the emergency alert system, which keeps us safe in dangerous times. It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text radio to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
On July 22nd in Nashville, Tennessee, 4 men will compete in one boxing ring. Only one winner will be declared. Who will be the last man standing in the first ever Survivor Tag? KSI's Misfits Boxing is coming to Nashville. That's right, Misfits and DAZN are bringing Misfits 008 to the Nashville Municipal Auditorium, including some of the biggest names in the crossover and celebrity boxing space. The night will be packed full of action, including the first ever tag team boxing match in the U.S. Fighters on the night include gun expert Brandon Herrera, fan favorite B-Dave, political activist Alex Stein, chart-topping rapper Swarms, lightweight champion Dean the Great, former BKFC champion Alan Belcher versus Hasim Rahman Jr., and many, many more. Misfits 008 tickets are available now, starting at $20 from Ticketmaster.com.
3 days of racing, 3 days of music, one huge weekend event. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is not just a race or a festival, it's an experience. Multiple music stations with Flo Rida, Vince Neil, Chris Jansen, Gavin DeGraw, and more. Fast cars going over 200 miles an hour. And a family fun zone with inflatables, Ferris wheels, kids games, and kid-friendly food trucks. Tickets and premium hospitality are on sale now. Go to MusicCityGP.com for tickets and get ready to experience Nashville's premier speed and sound event.
Today's world is filled with many things that can push any of us to our limit. An upcoming move should not add to that list. When you choose Black Tie Moving, you are going to get a highly awarded Inc. 500 company. From the free estimate by a local professional moving consultant to the red carpet treatment you receive on the day of your move, their trained and dedicated team is there to ensure that they take the stress out of the process. Call 844-920-2966. Then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win.
Pre-game at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
This is Chase McCabe.
Good to meet you. You know why it's good to meet me? Because I'm smart and I'm right.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Hey, the Game Summer Ticket Tour is headed to Fat Bottom Brewery at 844th Avenue North in Nashville tomorrow afternoon from 2 to 6. I'll be there with Adam Vingan, as Jared has the day off. But come eat, drink, hang, and leave with a pair of free Sounds tickets, Preds tickets. We have tickets to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix or concert tickets. It'll be on the all up for grabs. Also, you can get signed up for the grand prize, which is pair of Titans tickets, Preds tickets in the 501 Club, and a 2-night stay at Opryland Hotel with access to sound waves. Black Tie Moving delivers the Game Summer Ticket Tour. Come out and see us tomorrow at Fat Bottom Brewery, and for more details, go to theGameNashville.com/tour. We've been working on this for a while behind the scenes, so really excited about it. As we can kind of give you some tickets to different events around town, but that grand prize, man, that's awesome. Titans, Preds, little stay at Opryland Hotel and going to Soundwave. So
I was going to ask you, where's the golden ticket for Willy Wonka?
I know, right?
You get everything in there.
That's a great prize. But yeah, come out and see us. So looking forward to that tomorrow afternoon, and also looking forward to hanging out with Adam Vingan and talking sports with him. I know a lot of you like Adam, so we've been glad to have him on with us periodically. So looking forward to that. All right, so my thought on Hard Knocks, because the NFL announced yesterday that the New York Jets would be the team this year. Obviously, a lot of intrigue there with Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets in the offseason. But what's funny is I was reading all the releases on this, and as they were talking about it, there weren't a lot of teams that are eligible when it comes to the criteria for NFL Hard Knocks. The Bears and the Saints and the Commanders were another candidate. The Lions were on it last year, but and apparently the NFL approached them about maybe doing it again, but there's not many other teams, because if you're a playoff team or there's a lot of different things that fall into place, you don't have to do it. And of all those teams, like the Bears, I don't care. The Saints, the intrigue is Carr, I guess, but that's it. Don't care there either. Commanders, really don't care. And we just saw the Lions. And I didn't even watch last year. Like, I realized I didn't even watch one episode last year. The Jets are the logical choice because of Aaron Rodgers. How protected, though, is he going to be? Are they going to let him be Aaron Rodgers, and you're going to see Aaron Rodgers? Like, I want to see him, cussing out Garrett Wilson or something like that. Like, let's see true Aaron Rodgers, or are they going to try and protect him too much? I said this yesterday that I feel like, they've added the in-season version, which, okay, that's cool. But I feel like Hard Knocks has kind of jumped the shark. I'm curious of this quarterback documentary on Netflix. Going to check that out for sure. But it's time, if they're going to keep doing this, that they need to all sit down and they need to basically just be like, look, we're getting rid of this whole, if you made the playoffs, you don't have to do it, and like all the criteria and all the little loopholes that, basically gets teams that don't want to do it out of doing it. Because if you polled all the coaches, I would say a vast majority of the coaches would say they hate it and they don't want to do it.
You think?
I would think so. Like, do you think Mike Vrabel would want to be a part of Hard Knocks?
Probably not, but if there was some sort of kickback from it, then sure.
I mean, well, what do you mean by kickback? Just like,
like if there was some sort of, I don't know,
like an extra draft pick?
Something not like that, but maybe like some extra cap money, like for a free agent signing later on in the year or something like that. I don't know.
That's an interesting thought. I mean, I think that would, the PA would have to get involved, and there's a lot of things there. I mean, I understand there's not really a benefit to it, no matter what. But, like, I could take Belichick. I mean, the teams that we want to see, like the Jets I get. It's Aaron Rodgers. But name another team that you would want to see in Hard Knocks. Like, being around here, the Titans would be intriguing, especially if they landed DeAndre Hopkins, but Vrabel would make it intriguing. Obviously we're close to the fire, but what's another one?
I believe Seattle was already on Hard Knocks a few years back. Wouldn't mind seeing Seattle again. Minnesota would be one that I would like to see. Obviously, the playoff rule, but I would love to see Minnesota.
Why Minnesota?
I mean, you have a lot of personalities. Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, the Dalvin Cook situation that he is now free agent and stuff like that. So there's a lot of moving parts that TJ Hawkinson was, traded to them last year. That's pretty interesting little storyline there. So, something like that.
I mean, look, I'd put New England in there just because I'd want to see more of Belichick, and he won't allow it. He would hate it. But, I mean, that to me, I'd like to see that just because he's done it for so long, and there's so many questions with the Patriots because they've fallen from grace since Brady's been gone. The 49ers would be intriguing because of the quarterback situation that they have. I think John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, their personalities, seeing them featured there. Christian McCaffrey would obviously be a part of it. George Kittle. I mean, there's a lot there. I just wish they would look at this and, if they're going to keep doing it, give us more options.
Yeah, and I think with Hard Knocks, it comes down to the point where they have to really think about who can we really put as storylines to like multiple episodes. Because, I mean, if you've watched Hard Knocks, and a lot of people that have listened probably have watched Hard Knocks, they have few storylines they go off of episode by episode. They jump between certain storylines. So if they were to go with Cincinnati, it'd be kind of difficult, in my opinion. You'd have to go with Joe Burrow one little episode.
I would take the Bengals.
Yeah, Jamar Chase another episode, and then maybe focus on the defense. And you got to look on the defense. Who's on the defense? What? Not many names stick out to you, right?
Right. Well, and another thing too that because I got a text that said the Bengals would be good. A few years ago, I guess it was during COVID, they did both LA teams. So they did the Rams and the Chargers. And I understand that was easy to do because you were in the same area. It would be cool to feature different teams, multiple teams in one year. Like, I think that could certainly be cool. I just think it's like it's still a cool concept. We love the behind the scenes look. We've seen other sports take the concept and use it. I like the college football one they did a few years ago. And so I don't think it necessarily has to go away. It's just how do you reinvent it, you know? And there's all this concern. Louis Riddick talked about this. There's all this concern about if you put a team on Hard Knocks, does it create a distraction? And he talked about that when it comes to the Jets.
I don't think this team will care. I don't think it's going to play one bit of difference as far as whether or not this team really is a competitor in the East or not, or in the AFC overall. I mean, they have bigger issues to contend with that'll really materially affect their one-loss record. Hard Knocks ain't going to mean anything.
Yeah, I think that's the same way. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is going to be out for blood, and that's why this year of Hard Knocks could be interesting because you're going to see that. Like, you're going to see him being out for blood of like, hey, watch this. Watch me go. Like, basically, he's played for a team for the last 4 years that had been trying to get rid of him and had back-to-back MVPs. And, last year was the first year that they missed the playoffs. And so now he's like, okay, I want to play for the Jets. I'm going to go do this with it. He wants to do what Brady did. He wants to go win the Super Bowl in his first year with a new team. And I think they're in a good position. I mean, obviously, the hard part is the AFC is loaded. I mean, you got to get through Kansas City. You got to get through Buffalo, who's in your division. Are the Chargers going to finally live up to some of the hype that they have, with Justin Herbert? But the AFC is difficult. But I think that having an MVP caliber MVP quarterback like Aaron Rodgers with that is going to add to the intrigue. And so they're kind of lucky this year that fell in their lap and that the Jets agreed to do it. But, I'm curious of the other personalities on that team. Robert Saleh, their head coach, is kind of, I think it'll be interesting to kind of get to know him more, but everybody is going to be looking at Rodgers and what kind of Rodgers we're going to get.
Yeah, I'll be intrigued to see what they do with Sauce Gardner. I mean, that's a pretty cool defensive personality on that team.
Yeah, Sauce Gardner, I mean, do you put him kind of in the best young player in football?
Absolutely.
Right now?
Hands down, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a lot of fun.
I think if you remember on Twitter or social media, Sauce Gardner did that little cheese head thing. If Rodgers signs us, I'll burn the cheese head.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would be kind of cool to see on Hard Knocks if you would elaborate more on it.
Yeah, no doubt. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, D-Mac's going to join us at the end of the show. We'll get bat around some things with him. But back to the DeAndre watch, and does the odd change your opinion on whether he could come to the Tennessee Titans or not? We'll discuss that next. Chase McCabe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one. It's absurd.
Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All right, let's talk a little Superbook Sports and how they're changing the game. You can help your bets stay hot this summer with Superbook Sports, the most trusted name in sports betting with a direct line to Las Vegas. Right now, when you use the promo code CHASE, that's my name, you score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, doesn't matter. Superbook will match your first bet up to $250, all simply by using my name, CHASE, in the promo code, CHASE. Download that app and get after it. They got some futures bets. We're just talking a little NFL. I mean, they even got week 1 between the Titans and the Saints. Titans plus 3.5 on the road. You can bet that right now. They also have the win totals for Tennessee, 7.5 over under there. It is all at the palm of your hands on the Superbook Sports app. Download that app, enter the promo code CHASE, and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
The Parker Store at 1909 Nolensville Road in Nashville is the Parker Factory Authorized Store for your Parker hydraulic, pneumatic, water, and chemical hose needs. They stock metric tubing and hose connections to 42 millimeters in size, and they'll fabricate while you wait up to 6,000 PSI hydraulic hoses in a 2-inch size. Call the Parker Store at 615-248-8245 for all the Parker requirements you have. The Parker Store, 1909 Nolensville Road.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture eats strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Hi, I'm Chase McCabe with your PBR Minute. Catch PBR Team Series Stampede Days in Nashville at Bridgestone Arena August 18th through the 20th. You can go to PBR.com, Ticketmaster.com to get your tickets to see the defending Team Series champion. Head coach Justin McBride is getting his team ready for yet another season, but also to go win another one.
Getting the guys healthy and bull riding, that's always a big part of it, trying to juggle your roster and use the healthiest guys you got at the time. But I think for our squad, it's going to be really important this year to never forget about last season and what they were able to accomplish, but they've kind of got to let that go now. They've got to go try and get another one. We talk about it as, we're not defending anything. We won that title forever. That's in the history book. But we got to go win another one now, and that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to hold on to anything. We're trying to go get more.
And again, you can get your tickets now, August 18th through the 20th, PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com.
312 Pizza Company is a proud sponsor of Nashville Sounds Baseball on 102.5 The Game.
It's the latest social networking thingy.
We are all over social media. Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game. You can follow me at Chase on Game. Also on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville and at The Chase McCabe. See, aren't we cool?
Chase McCabe on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. It's been an offseason of change for the Nashville Predators.
Still going to be a relatively young roster. Johansson's gone, Duchesne's gone.
The Nashville Predators are interested, potentially, in a Brett Pesce.
They did trade Ekholm, Granlund, Tanner Jeannot.
What's next for Smashville's team?
They want to get younger. They're going to have to move a piece.
We have you covered with every move on your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase McCabe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, 615-737-1025. The D-Hop Watch continues. But an interesting way to look at it, since we're talking odds, and you can weigh in on this. The odds of D-Hop coming to the Tennessee Titans to Nashville have changed quite a bit over the course of the last few days. They were plus 500 on Tuesday to land him, then minus 300 Wednesday to get him, and then it changed to minus 125, still the favorite. Patriots at plus 150, Chiefs at plus 300. So the odds have been moving around, and so it got me thinking. I just said in the Superbook read that the Titans are at 7.5 wins. That's what they've set them at. So the over-under of 7.5 this year. If they sign DeAndre Hopkins, because you've heard me say that I don't think they're a D-Hop away from winning the Super Bowl, but I think they're a D-Hop away from being more competitive, especially in a weak division in the AFC South. How much would signing D-Hop change that win total? Or would it?
I say about 1.5.
So you think it goes from 7.5 to 9?
8.5.
Or 8 to 8.5?
Yep.
So basically it goes up. Oh, I could see that.
It's a valid point. I mean, due to the fact that this offense is, I mean, you said it earlier in the show, DeAndre Hopkins is very familiar with Tim Kelly, very familiar with Mike Vrabel. So, like, that should be an easy transition for him to have more production and be able to hit those incentive marks in a potential contract with the Titans.
Yeah. So you say it goes 7.5 to 8.5. I would say I'd probably agree with that. I think he's good enough for, at least in this discussion with that category, he's good enough for one more win. Is kind of how I would view that. So, or maybe 2. So, you would take the over 8.5 to get to 9. Even though I think right now with this division and with their schedule, 8, 9, 10 wins is not out of the realm of possibility.
Not at all.
That's what makes that number so intriguing.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of sport books will probably do this. They'll probably bait a lot of sport bettors in the respected states that allow sports betting. They'll set the line at 9.5, and the over will probably be plus money at plus 102, and then the under will probably be at minus 125, minus 130. And so that's what a lot of sport books will do. Like, ooh, free money. Let's take the over 9.5. No, I wouldn't do that at all.
I mean, 7.5 already without D-Hop is tricky, because it's like, all right, how many? And if you're not in this market, you're going to do research and you're going to look at that roster and you're going to go, ooh, especially on offense. Now, defense, okay, all right, how many wins can the defense steal? Because 7.5, it's a sucker bet. Honestly, it feels like a sucker bet, because when we've gone through the schedule and all of that, it's like, okay, I think 8. They got 8 wins in them. That's all they got to get to. But remember, Vegas knows. Vegas views things like that. But, let's see. Let me pull up. I just want to look at the division kind of as a total.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so looking at the Colts. So they have the Colts at 6.5. That feels right. They have the Texans at 6.5. I'd lean under. I mean, over is juiced up to plus 110. Over 6.5 for Indy, minus 130. Jags are at 10. The over-under's at 10. I'd lean under.
Really?
I would. I'd lean under. I just have a feeling that the Jags are going to jag.
Is it a hard 10 or a 9.5?
It's a hard 10.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no hook. Yeah.
That is interesting.
And so, again, if the Titans add DeAndre Hopkins, how do you view those win totals for the other teams? Does it change at all, because they got to play the Titans twice a year?
No. I'm going to say no. I think it would actually make the odds stay, the numbers stay the same, but the odds will be more in the favor of the under in a lot of those respected, I guess, games.
Right, because I look at it right now, today, I still think the Titans sweep Houston. I think even without D-Hop, I think they sweep Houston. I lean that they sweep Indy, because I don't think Indy's going to be. I think Richardson's going to have a tough rookie year, or they're going to go with Gardner Minshew. So I think they sweep Indy. I think a split with Jacksonville is logical. Maybe win here, lose there, or whatever. So with D-Hop, I don't feel like that necessarily changes, with or without him. So that's kind of how I look at it, just from a divisional sense.
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate, because if the Titans can easily, like you're saying, sweep Houston, and nonetheless, even if they do split with Indianapolis and split with Jacksonville, they still make a really good case to get over either 7.5 or 8.5.
Right.
The out-of-conference games as well.
Chris says on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, odds don't matter anymore. Jared called it yesterday. That's what moved the line, and that's all that matters now. I was the one that said I thought he'd be signed before 5 o'clock, and I was wrong. So I admit my mistakes. But, looking at these win total. So let's look at the Jets. Where do they got the Jets at on the Superbook Sports app? The New York Jets are 9.5 with Rodgers. I mean, my gut says to lean over, which is minus 130. But that's a tough division. They got to compete with Buffalo, which Buffalo's at 10.5. I'd lean under. I go under 10.5.
Yeah,
that's plus 120 too. Get some plus odds.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would lean there. Let's see, Miami 9.5. Ooh, that's a tricky one. That's a very tricky one. New England 7.5, which I'd probably go under. Okay, how much do you think D-Hop would change New England? Would you take them from 7.5 to 8.5?
No.
I don't think I would.
I would keep it at 7.5, and I would slightly lean the over. Slightly.
Yeah, like they have – you're getting even money if you take over right now on Superbook for 7.5 for New England. I would say that would probably drop to – in like minus 120 for under. I could see those odds reversing, and maybe you're getting minus 120 for the over. But I see that, and that's the thing. We're both saying that we think D-Hop to the Titans – could shift them from 7.5 to 8.5. No change with New England. Right there, that shows you that even as we sit here and have questions about the Titans roster, that you look at that roster and think it's better than New England's. I think it's just because of who the quarterbacks are.
Yeah.
That's how I view it.
A little tidbit about another team in the South, not the AFC South, but just in the South in general. The Atlanta Falcons line is at 8.5. Just hammer the over on that.
Think
they're going to win their division?
Yeah,
100%.
I don't think that's a terrible bet.
Bijan Robinson's about to just take over full force of that offense.
I mean, I guess my biggest concern with them is just quarterback. And if Ritter is ready,
and with Arthur Smith, I think he can kind of navigate through those little kinks with a. I know he's no longer a rookie quarterback, but, getting his majority of his starts this year, you're reincarnating Jonnu Smith potentially. You got a few guys on the outside. Bijan Robinson's coming into play. If you can kind of replicate some sort of similar offense you had with Tennessee along with the first couple of years with Atlanta, I think you could have a recipe for like a 10-win season.
Yeah, I mean, especially in that division. And you mentioned Jonnu being back there, but they got Kyle Pitts. So, yeah. I mean, I think Kyle Pitts is this could be the breakout year for Kyle Pitts. Receiver-wise, they got London, Drake London in his second year that I think he's going to take big steps. But it's just, to me, it's can Desmond Ritter be the guy that they want? I mean, quarterback-wise, like, it's his show. I guess Heineke's the backup, and then they have Logan Woodside on the roster right now. There's no quarterback competition in my mind. So can Arthur Smith work his magic like he did with Ryan Tannehill and do the same with Desmond Ritter?
But would I be surprised if Heineke gets a majority of some starts in the season? No, I wouldn't.
Well, he's a good insurance policy.
Exactly.
But I think ultimately they want Ritter to be the guy.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the hope. So I don't think that's a bad bet. You say the over. I mean, minus 140 for the over. So Vegas obviously feels like that's the play.
And there are other sport books out there that have it at minus 110 or plus 102 in some places I've seen it. So I highly recommend kind of pricing that one out.
Yeah, Carolina 7.5, and they're leaning over on that at minus 125. I don't know. Carolina's intriguing. I think Carolina is doing the right things for the future, but can Bryce Young translate into the NFL?
Yeah, and that's going to be an issue for sure with his height. I mean, I don't know if you've seen any of the social media videos of Bryce Young in some of the walkthrough practices, but he kind of looks like an 8th grader with a bunch of grown men. Kind of looks like me in some pads out there at quarterback.
By the way, so Ricky, he just texted me, said betting on the Falcons. They're on his blacklist. The Falcons,
the DNB do not bet.
Yeah, they're on the do not bet list. They've burnt him a few times. Carolina might be on mine.
Yeah,
like I missed out on some parlays twice last year because of Carolina.
Chicago Bears are going to be that for a lot of people this year.
Well, they should be. I mean, don't bet on them. Yeah, he goes death penalty. They got the lifetime ban for the do not bet list. So always good looking at some odds. Derek Mason, D Mace, my pal, Caroline William D Mace. He's going to jump in as we kind of transition over to Caroline William D Mace. A few things to hit him with. Chase and Mace. We'll do that coming up next. Chase McCabe Show 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
Henry up the middle. Puts a little move. 10, 5. touchdown.
All the big stories.
Should the Titans go after DeAndre Hopkins?
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Touchdown, Tennessee.
You're going to make a trade like this.
Does he want to retire a Tennessee Titan? The door's on the board.
Such superstar players. The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All right, I've been telling you about PhD weight loss for several weeks now. It's an awesome program developed by Dr. Ashley Lucas, who's the best-selling author and the brainchild behind it all. So you definitely want to check it out, myphdweightloss.com. The cool thing is you get weekly one-on-one sessions with a coach. Rachel's been my coach. She's been awesome. Customized meal plans that change throughout the program because you're going to change throughout the program. And so they will adjust with you on what's working, what's not working, and they're great about that. 85% of the food is provided to you at no additional cost should you choose to use it, or they can guide you to use your own food and help you meal plan and meal prep and all of those things. It's an awesome holistic approach to weight loss. myphdweightloss.com is the website. And right now, if you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight, by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That is their offer guarantee. So check them out, myphdweightloss.com.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture, eat strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want. But unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hey y'all, it's Courtney with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland tractor and bush hog needs. Swing by our store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville or give our sales team a call. We're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment, New Holland tractor, bush hog, and more.
Hey, do you need to listen on the go? Download the Game Nashville app from your app store today, and you can listen to us anywhere in the world. World. It's that simple. What an age we live in.
Chase McCabe on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe is on.
I am not that guy you think I was.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Chase McCabe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hey, before we get out of here, got a pair of 3-day passes for the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Nissan Stadium, August 4th through the 6th. Caller number 5, 615-737-1025 will win those 3-day passes to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Chase McCabe, Derek Mason has stepped in as Caroline Willie and D-Mace coming up in just a few minutes. D-Mace, what's up? It's been a minute.
It's been a minute, man. It's been a minute.
We got to do some Chase and Mace, you know?
Let's go. We used to do it all the time. Let's go.
Dane and Sydney, your former teammate, is going to join you at 1:30 today. Okay. He was on that Super Bowl team with you guys, played corner, still lives here. But I remember I brought that up to you, and you're like, man, I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah,
it'll be cool for you guys to catch up.
Since I've seen Danon. Well, I did see him at the alumni golf, but that was like quick.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? Because we're on the air at the time.
So we've been talking ad nauseum about DeAndre Hopkins. Mm-hmm. The odds shift around yesterday where Titans were plus 300 to get him, and then plus 500, and then they became minus 300 to get him, and then minus 125. It's just shifted all around. Ultimately, I still believe they're going to end up with him. That's just I think it's the best fit. I know Kansas City could come along and move some money around it to create cap space, and they could do it. But it's not ring chasing for him. He wants the contract. He wants to be on a good team, a contender, a team that he can help. Which I think he can do that here. But ultimately, it's more than just chasing the ring. And like I talked to Sarim Petra from Kansas City, and he said that. You have to want to play for the Chiefs and understand that it's Patrick Mahomes' show. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think D-Hop is looking at it that way. I think that's why the Titans make the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much, he's telling you that, more or less he's going to the highest bidder, whether you are a playoff-bound team or you're not a playoff-bound team. And that's, that's his prerogative to do, and I don't see the Titans as being a bad place. I think just about anywhere Hop goes, he would fit. But what is he with the Titans? That's what you got to try to figure out. Is he a slot receiver? Is he an outside guy? He's definitely your two, but in his mind, does he want to be the one? If he's not getting one targets, will he then, start to complain? So these are all the things you got to, think about. And the teams are, more or less, teams are like, listen, we're not paying you the money that you want or the money that maybe the Titans are willing to pay. We're not desperate like that to bring in a wide receiver that's aging, that has missed some games, been suspended. And can't get down the field like he used to. More or less, he's a very effective slot receiver. And that's not a bad thing because this league has gone more toward throwing the ball to the inside guy or in the middle of the field more often now.
When you bring up whether he's a 1 or whether he's a 2, and, we get caught up in that. Mm-hmm. To me, and tell me if you agree with this or not, doesn't the opponent kind of dictate that? Because, and here's what I mean. Like, if the offense lines up, okay, Henry's in the backfield, so you have to respect that. Even at his age, you got to respect 22. Treylon Burks, line him up to the outside, D-Hop on the other side. Maybe you put Kyle Phillips in the slot. You have Chikakonkwo on the field. I mean, that's a lot of options for Ryan Tannehill. So if you're the defense, who are you going to double up?
You're not going to double anybody.
Right.
But if I was going to double someone, it would either be Chikakonkwo or Treylon Burks because those guys get down the field. Those guys stretch the field. And what I mean by number 1 and number 2, it has nothing to do with whether the defense dictate who's going to be the number 1 or number 2. It's about play calling. The number 1 guy gets a lot of the play calls.
Yeah,
plays are typically set up. For that particular person to get the ball. He's the main focal. He's the focal point in that particular play. 1, 2, 3, and then so forth and so on. So it's not necessarily about what the defense does. It's about once I look at this playbook, I know for sure who's the number 1 guy because the offense is going to be dictated. The passing offense is dictated around that number 1. Now, Hop would be a damn good 2, but can he play that role as a 2?
Right.
That's the question. You can say, I can walk in here and say, yeah, I'll be a number 2, no doubt. Let's go. Give me the contract. But once we start getting in the games and I'm not getting the targets or I don't feel as if I'm involved in the offense, things tend to change. So it's easy for someone to say, yeah, man, I can go from a 1 to a 2. You can't because you've been a 1 all your life.
Right. It's a mentality.
Exactly.
Was it different for you being that, you started your special teams and then you kind of had to climb a ladder being a 4th round pick. So was it different for you when you got to that number 1 role and then later in your career you kind of went back down?
It was, for me, I knew how to play in that role if I needed to. When I finished out my career here and went to Baltimore, there was probably one season where I wasn't the number 1, and Mark Clayton was.
Yeah.
And I had to adjust to that. I did. I'm just being honest. I had to adjust to that because I felt that I still had a lot to give. I was extremely happy for Mark because he was a young guy, showing that he can prove his worth in this league. But as a guy that had been a number 1 for 9 years, it's hard to then take a back seat to that. You have to really do some reevaluating, and there are certain points. But then after that, it was more like, whether it was Anquan or myself, we would just go back and forth, and then Mark in the middle, somewhere around there. So it's how do you adjust to being a number 1 for so long and then them asking you to be a number 2 on a team with a bunch of young wide receivers, guys that are not proven.
Right. And Traylon Burks, he's not proven. I mean, now we think he's going to take a big leap from year 1 to year 2, that he's going to be healthy. He's gotten the conditioning down and seems to be in really good shape, but now he's got to go out there and actually make the plays. And I do wonder of having D-Hop in the receiver room, what kind of a benefit that would be to him. I think just watching D-Hop work could certainly help him.
Yeah, it will. That's if he practices, yeah.
Well, yeah.
No, but that's a different thing. But no. Everything, if D-Hop comes in that room, it helps Traylon. It helps Chris Moore some. Kyle Phillips, obviously. Racy McMath. Guys like that are sort of teetering and hasn't really, put their stake in this game as far as showing that they can play week in and week out. Bringing D-Hop to the room helps because they see how he works. And, they see what a big-time, receiver looks like, a guy that has put in some work in this league, what it looks like, and not just put in work. I mean, this guy has been, a top 7 receiver, for basically the majority of his career, or let's just say a top 10 receiver for basically the majority of his career. So they can learn a lot from him.
By the way, your last year in Baltimore, 100 targets, 61 catches, 802 yards, 7 touchdowns. So still not bad.
Yeah, still not bad. And in that offense, because I think Anquan had right around the same numbers. We both had identical numbers, so to speak. But we were not a pass-heavy offense.
Right.
But we work well with one another, within that offense. So you got to be willing to, those are, as you start to age, those are the numbers that start to creep up. When you're 36, 37, close to 1,000 yards, but not quite 1,000 yards.
Look, I don't know how he'd feel about it, but if those were the numbers for DeAndre Hopkins.
That'd be great.
And then you had Traylon Burks over 1,000 yards. You take that all day long.
Oh, absolutely.
That all day long. That is going to do it for us today. D-Mace, obviously getting ready for his show. Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace is coming up next here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.